There is an achievement in BTD6, all for one and one for one. Win a game with only one monkey tower on the screen at any time in a hard mode game. You can just cheese it very easily with a Pirate Lord, but there's another achievement that's a lot more difficult. 2 tower chimps. Beat a chips game with just 2 towers on the screen at any one time. This is a lot more difficult, but has tons of different combinations. Now, I had finished this achievement quite a while ago, around 5 or 6 months ago. It was a relatively easy achievement to get, but I thought at the time, what if I do this with the boss? At the time, I thought this wasn't practical because I wasn't good at BTD6, but since then, they've nerfed Geraldo. They just nerfed it horribly. But I am using Geraldo in this run, for one very good reason. I'm going to be going for the first ever 2 tower boss. I'm only going to be allowing 2 towers to be on the screen at any one time. As an extra challenge, I have to do it in as least cells as possible. Basically what this means is, every time I sell a tower, I count it. I have to do as little cells as possible. As well as this, I'm doing least tiers, but that's just a bit of an extra thing to see how little tiers this actually needs. So first off, we have to lay out the rules. Of course, I'm only allowed to have 2 towers on the screen at any one time, but I can sell. I am allowed to farm if I really have to, and I have to beat the boss in as little selling as possible. So, if I can, I have to use the exact same tower to beat all 5 tiers, while maybe buffing it here and there along the way. Now, this tower has to be strong enough in the early game to fight off Tier 1 and Tier 2 Bloonarius, and in the end game, it's going to have to be strong enough to beat up 3 million HP. Yes, I'm doing this on a normal boss, because who is insane enough to do this on Elite? Anyway, that video is coming out next month. So first of all, I'm going to start off with Geraldo for the obvious reason of his Quincy action figure. This NFT grows in sell value as the game progresses. So while I may be only getting it for $800 now, at round 100, it could be worth tens of thousands. This is going to be really useful. It means that I don't really have to farm, and that saves tiers, time, and money. Defending with Geraldo is going to be very easy in the early game, but since I don't want to waste all my money on shooty turrets, I'm going to be getting down my spec factory early. Now, if there are any beginners among you, you're probably thinking, oh, he's going to get Permaspike. Permaspike is the greatest tower. It is like a brick wall at the end of the track that just denies balloons from getting past. Or maybe he's going to go from Carpet of Spikes, which does extra Moab damage, and it can pop leads. No, you're wrong. I don't mean to be brutal, but that is completely incorrect. I'm getting down super mines. Yes, you heard me right, super mines. Since this NFT is going to be worth over $100,000 by round 80, and I'm going to have the money from popping the balloons over, this is going to be a lot of spare cash. The reason I'm choosing super mines over other strong towers like a Paragon or Legend of the Night or Flying Fortress is because super mines and spike factories are unique in the way they work with buffs. So as we all know, Permabrew gives a bit of attack speed and a bit of damage to all towers, but it also gives Pierce. Now Pierce doesn't really increase most towers' single target DPS, but spike factories are unique. Since they throw down these spike piles on the floor, each of them containing 6 to 10 spikes depending on the upgrade, each spike does 1 damage, so one spike pile with 10 spikes would do 10 damage. But Pierce can increase the amount of wounds that each spike can hit, and that's where it gets OP. Since each spike pile has 10 spikes, but each of those spikes do 2 Pierce, aka 2 damage, that means the Spike Factory with a +1 Pierce buff does double the damage. And Super Mines, when paired with Homeland Defense, throws out double spikes, which are twice as strong. Now obviously the explosive damage and the damage over time from the explosion is not affected, but the balloons that the spikes pop is doubled, and they're throwing out double the spikes. Since the normal spikes are getting thrown out twice as much and they're twice as strong, this is a 4x increase with 1 buff. In fact, Super Mines, when fully buffed, is one of the very few tier 5s that can actually out DPS of fully max Bloon Jitsu. But that's enough of me yapping. Now we're getting into the boss fights. Geraldo is going to be a major help for tiers 1 and 2, because Spiked Mines, while it is good, is not as strong as the Super Mines, obviously, because it's a tier 4. Geraldo is going to be helpful with doing extra damage and cleaning up the ceramics that come from every time Bloonarius is hitting a skull. Now, I am going to use genies and rabbits for the first 2 tiers because they are some of Geraldo's strongest items, as well as Jar of Pickles, which is not going to be useful for spiked mines, because it does extra damage, but the attack speed decrease is absolutely not worth it. I could use pickles on the shooty turrets though for maybe a couple hundred extra damage, but as you can see here, I'm using blade maelstroms to completely destroy the ceramic rushes. Round 63 has no chance. It's round 53 right now, and Bloonarius is a lot under halfway health, but it is far away from the spiked mines, meaning I'm not going to get a lot of damage in. I can place down some Jerry Fires to get a bit of extra damage, and I'm probably going to be fine. It is round 58, and I am probably not fine. Bloonarius has over half a skull left, and I'm trying to stall, but it is not working well enough. Geraldo's totem is complete arse at stalling these balloons. I mean, it's kind of working, but not nearly as much to the extent that I'd like. Bloonarius is so far away from spiked mines that it may as well be on the other side of planet Earth. I mean, come on. It's round 59. I'm not even going to be able to get all this damage in, even if I do stall long enough. Because Geraldo doesn't have infinitely stalling items. Well, I guess the totems could, but they completely suck. So whatever. And as you can see, I simply don't have enough damage, and the totem is not taking in the ceramic, and I am going to die on round 59. Because I don't have enough damage, and I didn't have enough time. Those can be some rap lyrics, but as you can see, I restart from round 40, because clearly I prioritize just pure luck over any sort of strategy. My new strategy here is going to be putting shooty turrets away from the beginning of the track and using Geraldo's totems and glue so that I'll be able to stall for a lot longer, because I definitely would have had the damage. I mean, Bloonarius was about to go back in to the circle of death that is the spiked mines. The only problem is that I killed the rounds way too quickly. But adding some Geraldo totems and some glue should probably fix that up. And my stalling strategy worked perfectly. A nice side effect is that since the balloons are getting stalled, the spike mines actually has more time to build up a bigger pile of spikes, so I actually managed to kill Bloonarius on round 50 instead of round 59, like last time. So that's actually really nice. It means I have 10 rounds to let Geraldo's items completely refresh. This is very good, and this means that I'll be more prepared for tier 2 with a high level Geraldo. Now tier 2 Bloonarius has 6 times the health of normal Bloonarius at 300,000 health, but I have a killer bunny from Minecraft, so I'm going to be a-okay. With the addition of the bunny and Geraldo's genies, I am indeed KOA, beating the first skull of Bloonarius at round 65. On top of this, I am stalling every single round so that I have as much time as possible to beat up the boss. Unfortunately, using genies and stalls at the same time is not really a good combo, because genies attack balloons and stalling is keeping the balloons at the entrance, but genies attack everything if they get close enough. As you can see, it prioritized the BFBs there because it was closer to them than it was to Bloonarius, so this is a problem. A problem that I decide to immediately ignore because it is round 69 and I am already having killed almost all of Bloonarius' health. Bloonarius isn't even halfway the track, and I'm not even halfway through the rounds. So with the power of genies and the bunny, obviously my DPS skyrocketed, and now all I have to do is cruise until round 80. And here is the tier 3 Bloonarius. Now if you could see at the very beginning there, I checked the NFT's worth and it was $117,000. That's not enough to buy the super mines, so of course I'm going to keep on going until I do have enough to buy the super mines from the NFT, because I also want to get Homeland Defense and an Ultra Boost, because the 3 million health boss is going to be scary. Round 85 is here, and as you can see, I have popped down the first skull, meaning I'm on track to beat the boss, but Bloonarius is almost halfway through the track, and Super Ceramics are going to absolutely destroy my spiked mine spike pile. So I'm going to have almost nothing to deal with the boss except for genies, shooty turrets, and of course, the Paragon of Death. So I am going to have to sell for the super mines this tier. Of course I wait until round 88 because I am very greedy, but I decide this is the round that I sell the NFT. So I do so, and look how fast Super Mines destroys Bloonarius. I'm going to let the footage play out. And of course I died to Super Ceramics. What the hell? So I go back in, I'm more careful with my Dorado places, and I beat tier 3 in 2 rounds. 2 rounds, are you kidding me? That is like speedrunning. What the heck? Supermines by itself with no buffs was able to take down like 250,000 health in 2 rounds. How crazy is that? On round 93, I decide that now was the time to perform my first sell. I decide to sell Geraldo. And you may be thinking, Brazier, selling those shooting turrets is also counting as sells? No, I could keep them on there, but I want Supermines to completely solo tiers 4 and 5 of normal Bloonarius. I mean, the shooting turrets, I count them as a part of Geraldo, and therefore they themselves are not sells, because they barely contribute anyway. Round 100 is here, and now the Bloonarius with 750,000 health is also here. Tier 4 Bloonarius is going to be pretty easy, mostly because this Supermines is almost completely ultra boosted to 10 stacks. As you saw there, I'm at 9 stacks. As you can see here, I've already done almost 200,000 damage before Bloonarius has even gotten close to Supermines' range. And interestingly, this is because whenever the round ends, all of the Supermines explode at once. So that does a ton of damage to Bloonarius, especially if Bloonarius is in the Supermines range. As you can see there, it just did like 100,000 damage in one go. On round 106, Bloonarius dies. This is actually pretty good news, because Supermines just did 750,000 damage in only a quarter of the track. Hopefully what this means is Supermines should be able to do the 3 million damage to tier 5 easily. And there Bloonarius is. Tier 5, 3 million health. So far I've only done one sell, which is really good. I have $146,000 left over, which is also pretty good. And I've only done, and so far, 15 tiers on Bloonarius, which I'm pretty sure might be a world record contender. I'm not sure what the least amount of tiers needed to be Bloonarius is, but this is pretty good. Bloonarius hits his first skull about a quarter of the way through the shack, just like I predicted. However, it sent out a bad bloon. Now, bads and TOMGs aren't actually that tough for the Supermines because it's just a damage machine that destroys them. Its real problem is DDTs. If it doesn't build up a spike pile in time, DDTs are just going to sprint through the Supermines. Because, let's face it, DDTs are just every tower's weakness, except for like a very select few, like Prince of Darkness and Ascended Shadow. It's round 135, Bloonarius has just hit his first goal, and all is good. But the bat pops, and thankfully I saved myself before the DDTs actually kill me. The only unfortunate thing is, I started round 136, and the DDT ceramics killed me instantly. Don't tell me you could have saved yourself. Now the reason I died is because Bloonarius was right on top of the Supermines, meaning that once a Supermine threw down a Supermine, the Supermine used up all of its pierce, so therefore I had 0 things on the screen to actually help out, and I am forced to restart and perform my second sell. I am positive that this challenge is possible with only 15 tiers and 1 selling tower, but I got bad RNG. And maybe I could have done that again, but I was like, screw this, I'm getting down Homeland defense. I decided to get jungle drums so that I could have an extra 18% attack speed on my Supermines. Now, if you're going for least tiers, this is a mistake. Definitely don't go for jungle drums. Maybe even call to arms would have worked here, but ergo, this is what I picked. Now, the unfortunate thing is, the Homeland defense has double attack speed, but it has less uptime than the Ultra Boost. So, I am getting a stronger buff, but for a lot less time. That's the trade-off that I decided to make. And I'm going to let you see for yourself how this epic boss battle turned out. And just like that, I have beaten Bloonarius 2 towers at a time. Now, if you want to try this, you can. It's relatively easy, but also, I think you can do better than my score here. I got 23 tiers and had to sell twice. I think you can beat the final boss with Ultra Boost and just 15 tiers. Why do I say this? Because I got very bad RNG, and Ultra Boost is 100% uptime for a 67% increase in attack speed. Homeland is 50% uptime for 100% attack speed. Ultra Boost is actually better in this situation, but I'll leave that up to you to do. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again for another challenge.